Good evening. It's Monday, January 27th, 2025, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm Maria Paz, the Director of Programming of ATOA. As a painter, art curator, and documentary filmmaker with a passion for interdisciplinary exploration, my work unites Eastern, Western, Northern, and Southern cultures through symbolism and abstraction, reflecting our globalized era. For 50 years, Artists Talk on Art has been the premier forum for visual artists, holding the distinction of being the longest-running panel series in art history. ATOA's mission is to provide a platform for artists to share their thoughts and opinions, fostering critical dialogue on issues relevant to the contemporary art world and reflecting on historical contexts. Many of our recent Zoom recordings may be viewed on our YouTube channel. Our extensive archive resides at the Smithsonian Archives. Tonight, we have a dialogue between artist Staats Fasoldt and Kate McGloughlin of the good
McLaughlin.
McLaughlin
From
of the
my
good
poor dead Irish family.
okay of the Woodstock School of Art, who will talk about Fasoldt's life and art. Fasoldt is considered a premier watercolorist in America and has taught the methods over 45 years. Kate McLaughlin
Close enough.
is a celebrated painter and printmaker who lives and maintains a successful studio in Olive Bridge, New York. Included in over 80 international exhibitions, she's the winner of more than a dozen notable awards for achievement, and her work is included in the permanent collections in 4 museums. She's president emerita of the Woodstock School of Art, where she also teaches landscape painting and printmaking. Requiem for Ashokan, the story told in landscape, her multimedia exhibitions of paintings, prints, text, and spoken word premiered at the Woodstock Artists Association and Museum in June 2017. Was exhibited at the Center for Contemporary Printmaking in Norwalk, Connecticut in March 2019, the Ulster County Historical Society Museum, and is the subject of her book, Requiem for Ashokan. The story told in landscape. She has lectured on the subject for Vassar College, Columbia School of Climate Change, Ulster County Historical Society Museum, and the Institute for Contemporary Psychotherapy, among others. McLaughlin co-authored Solace and Sanctuary, The Ashokan's Enduring Gifts with Gail Straub in 2022, and her autobiographical gift book, Do Good, in 2024. Welcome tonight, and I will give you now your choice, Kate. Thank you so much, so you can introduce Stats.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank Doug and all of you at this great this lecture series for inviting Stotts and Stotts, of course, for inviting me to interview you. It is my deep honor and great pleasure to introduce you to Stotts Fasoldt. Many of you know and love him already. But I decided that I'd like to read to you something I wrote for Stotts when he won a very, very impressive award in our area. Stotts, the lyric poem in a vase, the perfection that is his use of negative space and use of rhythmic, leaching color within the positive shape. Geez. When Staats Fasoldt wanted a master's degree in watercolor from the State University of New Paltz, they didn't know what to think. I bet they know what to think now. Never has the word master been so rightfully given. Perhaps my longest and most tender friendship at the Woodstock School of Art. He has been my brother, my teacher, my mentor and friend. That is Staats Fasoldt. He patiently guided me to a quarter sheet of 140-pound Arches cold press watercolor paper and a handful of sumptuous colors, warm and cool tubes of color, and turned a black and white Xerox of an Edward Hopper lighthouse upside down for me to copy. He walked me through a world of shape and value like no other teacher had. And if I've ever done a decent watercolor in my life, it's because Staats Fasoldt, his incredible skill as an instructor. Stotts inspired a trip to Pearl Paint to buy my first half-box field easel, and then suffered quietly trying to teach me how to erect it in the field. He told me that lemon oil once a year would help the dried bones of its retractable legs, and tightening the wing nuts after every use would assure its longevity. He didn't know that I would be standing in the middle of the mill stream with said easel, or constantly throwing it into overhead luggage or in the back of a truck to get to enchanted places to paint watercolors, trying to be just like Stotts. Cooper Lake, Big and Little Deep, the Xena Reservoir, Schultes Farm, and the Comeau property. He has taken us to the most beautiful places in Woodstock to join in his reverie, to dreamland with our own dream boat. He lit the landscape fire in me, and in doing so, changed the trajectory of my life. A contemplative whose work is an act of prayer, Staats Fasoldt's devotion grows as he does. How can we ever thank this human who has given us so much beauty to return to? He has made color sing, and his students clamor to be near him. My grandmother once went outside to put on her lips. She went inside to put on her lipstick after meeting him when the class came to our farm to paint. He has led the only art school in Woodstock with his heart and soul, always putting students before any other consideration. Stotts and I parked cars and folded many chairs together when we were the kids on the board. This humility born of humble service to the greater good, their art education, has been the hallmark of his leadership. We've been the lucky ones for knowing him, the shy, affable, quirky Sagittarian whose devout appreciation for comic books belies his knowledge of the Gospel of Thomas and the Desert Fathers. We have been the lucky ones, Stotts, and to return the favor you once gave to me, I offer this poem. And this is truly Stotts. Way inside this brother, monk of color, soft inflection his calling, pressed fruit, fluid matter, mind, minerals, ground. His quiet brush imbues the page, blooms of grace fill space, move fluid matter, mind, minerals, and ground. Deeper still is his yearning for you, open reflection. This scribe distills your matter, mind, minerals, ground. Earth Boy has garnered his disciples, lost misfits, thugs, and outliers crave his matter, minerals, and ground. Dam Samanakasan. That's so that's a long way of me saying that my friend Staats Fasoldt and I met in 1991, and I had decided to go back to art school after teaching some school and working with some teenagers, and I knew that my life was not going to be a happy one if I didn't get back to make an art. So I walked into the Woodstock School of Art in January of 1991. So I always say I signed up for a 4 week class and I never left. So shortly after meeting Bob Angeloch, the founder and a good friend of Stotts and mine, I met Stotts and realized that just taking an etching class wasn't going to be enough because I saw what he did with watercolor and I wanted to know more about that. So I took Stotts's class as soon as I could, and we became friends pretty readily. His studio was quiet, but benevolent and supportive. There was a beautiful Irish artist by the name of Anya playing in the background. Do you remember those days in Studio
Oh,
Five,
yeah.
Stotts?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he always played that one album, and it was so moving all the time. And Stotts, like I said in my little poetic introduction here, Stotts was a watercolor major, you know, and when everybody else was abstract expressionists, there he was in this beautiful watercolors, making beautiful, beautiful landscapes and still lives and figures. And he's inspired legions of artists in this Hudson Valley and beyond. And it's really just a great honor to have been asked to help out tonight. So Stotts, I want to turn this over to you. And I want to ask you right off the bat, is there anything that you'd like to talk about before we get too into your slides? you want to say hi to the gang or,
Yeah, say hello to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming by tonight. I am honored to be asked to do this. I'm really excited to show you a bunch of my watercolors all at once together, which is a kind of a cool thing. Ones that I've chosen just for this, so I hope you'll enjoy it. And I kind of wanted to just give you a little brief background uh, of my life and how I got here and where I'm going. I was born and grew up near Rensselaer, New York. Kind of spent my whole life along the Hudson River. Uh, my family moved around in that area a bit. We lived in Castleton for a while, and I came down here to go to graduate school at New Paltz with my wife Eileen, and just fell in love with Ulster County. So I'm like an Ulster County uh, aficionado, and I taught here. I taught in the prison system for a while. I taught at Ulster County Community College in their continuing ed program. You do everything you can kind of do to when you get out of art school to try to make a living. And at some point, I think like the third year of teaching at uh, prison, I met Bob Angeloch through Ray Caddy, who was one of his supporters, and started teaching there, and never, never ever looked back. So it was a great day when Kate came along. We all recognized that, and it was a wonderful poem, Kate. I told you before that very moving thoughts of what you came up with.
I love you very much, pal. And before you get talking about me, I want to go back to that very fateful day when I think you climbed the stairs of the Paradox Gallery and sat there with the horn-rimmed Paula Nelson and Bob Angeloch himself, did you not?
Yeah, that's a great. Well, you know the story very well. We
I know your story, pal.
we I was asked to come and meet Bob Angeloch, and I had like a wicked flu too, so I was
Oh,
sneezing and
geez.
coughing, and I figured, boy, they're never going to want to deal with me. But Paula Nelson was there, and Bob Angeloch. Paula was director for many, many years, and or in and out
Acting.
of directorships, right? And Bob's like right hand girl, and met Bob Angeloch and at the Paradox Gallery, and it was just a delight. I remember walking up the stairs of the Paradox with all the uh,
His postcards, the postcards of all
postcards
the
and
shows. Yeah,
newspaper clippings and so forth, and that's just the kind of just an exciting life for an artist to see how he had managed to survive and blossom. And he had taken over the buildings that were once the Art Students League in Woodstock. Probably a lot of you remember the summertime league in Woodstock. And you correct me if I get some of these dates wrong, but
I sure will.
I think they stopped in 76 or something like that, 80.
They went right up to 79. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
They didn't want to do it anymore, and the buildings were empty, and there was a lot of things maybe people could do with those buildings. It's a beautiful place. I know a lot of you have been there, but it's like the campus itself is like 4 acres, and then there's 50 some acres just of woodland and streams all around it. It's just quite remarkable. So he managed to get a hold of it and started the Woodstock School of Art. And I came along the next year after they started and began teaching there. I think there was only three of us there in the winter times when we started. And now it's like it's a blazing business. It's going great. Just
44 of us or something. Peter and Karen and I were talking about that.
yeah,
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 whole lot, whole lot.
yeah. Karen and O'Neill and Peter Clapper are longtime teachers there, and we're there from near the beginning as well. So
They're just as much our brothers and sisters as
yeah,
you
they're
are.
totally relatives, totally family.
Peter and Karen came down to the Woodstock School of Art as the artist workspace program we had in our barn, and what's going to be a new residency program someday soon, we hope. But they came down, and I think they're both students of George Nick. They're on this call somewhere, but I think I still say two of the best painters in the area, if not the country, oil painters like you can't believe. And they came down and fell in love with Woodstock too, just like Stats did. I bloomed where I was planted. I came from here. I was here before it was cool to be here. Let's put it
You're an
that way.
Olive Ridge girl.
That's it, the epicenter.
Yeah.
But Stotts, what about the Woodstock School of Art? Were you just looking for a job, and it was at the Was it just the proximity
I
of the
was
school?
desperately looking for something to do other
Anything?
than teach in prison. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I really didn't know much about, I never heard of Bob Angeloch or Paula or the Woodstock School of Art when I walked in, but uh, it's such a ch full of charm.
Mm.
Even then, when it was just the beginning, and there was no heat, there was no bathrooms in the wintertime. We taught classes in the wintertime, but there were no bathrooms. So
Yeah.
think about that.
Well,
And
remember the year that we had the porta potty there? That didn't
yeah,
work.
that
That
was
was
like
rough.
that was a step up when we got a
That was
porta
a step
potty.
up.
That
Yeah.
was,
We used
from
to bring our own water in with the jugs. We sound like my father went to school with Abraham Lincoln and had to walk it
yeah,
through
we used
snow
to
and bare feet.
walk
But
through the
we
snow.
used to have to carry jugs of water and Stotts for his watercolor and me for the printmaking shop. And I didn't it didn't bother me one bit. And just to get warm water, you poured water in an old uh what's that stuff? Enamel bowl, and you put it on the kerosene heater. And I was the maintenance girl for a while when Peter and Karen during the winter time, they would go into town and stay at Epstein's place. And so I'd go in and light the fires, in the studios. And what you did is you turned on the kerosene heat and you sang happy birthday 3 times or something. And then you lit a rag and then threw it into the fire. And that was like how those things got started. But boy, by the end of by the end of the morning, the water was nice and hot in there, and that's how we washed up. I don't know if that's very interesting to people, but I still think of it. And with the way the school looks now, with climate controlled and radiant heat and stuff, I think about the early days. You
It's
had to
all air
really want it
conditioned,
to be there.
completely air conditioned. Do you want to see the school? Can I put up the
Yeah,
slide?
put up your slides, Dots.
Let's see if we can do it, first of all.
Yeah, we have a little technical stuff we're going to do, and Stotts has put together a beautiful slideshow of his life in art, and that's really what this is about. So take it away there if you can.
Okay, let's see if I can do this. We'll start with so we got that?
Pretty cool.
You
I'm
see it?
hoping to get rid of that. Yeah,
Okay, so let's see what happens here. This is Studio One, not too long ago or two, Studio Two, forget how to count, and in one of my classes, and with the radiant heat in the basement, as Kate says.
Mhm.
This is the barn that Kate was just talking about.
Where Peter and Karen stayed when they first came here, and
Yeah, they used to live there. They used to, a lot of people have stayed there summers. We had people who every year came for the summer and would stay there. And a lot of artists stayed there. We put artists up. Beautiful north light over the top and windows and just a gorgeous. I mean, rustic, right, Kate?
well, rustic is what you could say. But we're about to make a big change, and I hope
What's
you'll all.
going to happen? What are you going to do now?
We are going to revamp this thing, keep the structure. It's the oldest building on the Woodstock School of Art campus. It dates back to the 1880s or 90s. And so it is a historical building, and we have National Historic Landmark status at the school. So we've got to be really careful what we do and we upgrade things. So we're going to gut it from the inside, keep the outside, and do some upgrading. And we're going to keep those windows, but build giant storm windows. Uh, a steel, what do you call it? Raised seam roof with a
Yeah,
skylight over the
steel reinforced roof and
steel reinforced. We're saving all the beams. It's going to be gorgeous on the inside. It'll be used as some parts of the year it'll be a residency program, but we hope to be able to put our visiting instructors and some interns in there to sleep. There'll be 2 bedrooms plus a loft and bunk area up in the top. But also they're going to call it Studio 6 too, because we've sort of grown out of ourselves. So there'll be a
it
large
could make
studio
a great
space.
studio, right?
Oh, it's going to be dynamite. And it'll be all universal design, ADA, kind of, we're going to do as much as we can to make a net zero building out of it too. There'll be on the south side of that, it'll be solar panels and all that. But the main thing is that it's going to be the jewel really of the Hudson Valley, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm in on the design committee. And we just want to make a welcoming and warm, beautiful, safe place for artists to come and enjoy the campus. Other people stay. There's another shot of the gallery And that's a nice one, Stotts.
Yeah, that's a
Look at
gallery.
this place, bluestone and timber, and it was first built for part of the National Youth Administration during the New Deal era of Roosevelt. Mrs. Roosevelt came to Woodstock for a dinner party, and I think by the end of the night, she knew that there needed to be a training center for kids during the Depression. So she set
It
the
hurt. She laid the ground, the cornerstone for this.
Surely did, yeah.
Yeah.
We sure did. And the buildings were actually built under the direction of Thomas Penning. And some of that, you see that beautiful, not just the stonework, but in the back, that live edge wood, that stuff was created at the school in the wood shop by the residents. So it's just a dynamite campus. Go ahead and hit another slide, Stotts, and see.
Oh,
There it is.
we don't need this. You can see me already. Well, this
Uh-oh.
is this is my latest teaching enterprises with Jane Louise, who may be watching tonight.
Yeah, that's the wait, let's go back. That's Jane Louise, who is Stotts's first granddaughter,
This is Jane Louise also.
and also Ruthie, and
Ruthie and Chris,
yeah, so there was life
my
before
family.
Janie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is one of my classes.
Uh, that's just how it is. Like, folks, take a look at how people are just galvanized, just looking at what he does. He makes it look so easy that you go back to your desk and you think you're going to do just what Stotts does, and you just fall apart. It's hilarious, but I don't know. That
Just
looks like a happy group.
do it like Stas, right?
Do it like Stotts. That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, what Case said earlier on about shyness. I'm an extremely shy person, I would say, in a lot of ways, but teaching brought out a very outgoing part to me, and it really was a wonderful gift uh, during for me as my life. So this
Yeah.
is Robert Angeloch in his gallery, actually, I think
That's up in
studio.
his studio. Yeah.
Studio, yeah, this is him with his his etching press. And he was like the linchpin that made the Woodstock School of Art go, and he gave me a place to stay for my career, my life, really. And I became so involved with the school and him and the people around there, and it's just another family, made another family for me. Who's
In
this?
Oh, there's Kate and baby Jane. That was at your awards dinner this summer. Hey,
Yeah.
Jane. Jane couldn't wait to get away from me. I don't know what that was all about. I'm usually a magnet for chicks.
Well,
Jane,
she's
you'll have to grow out of that.
nice to keep moving.
Yeah, that's it.
So I could have showed you in the printmaking studio, but this is you in Orkney, I think.
Yeah, that's right. And some
With
of
your
those
class
people
at
that are
Orkney.
there are on this call tonight, I think.
Yeah,
Yep. I
yeah, I
take
see some of them. I recognize a few of
So
them
there's
there.
Wilma there and Eileen, Marianne, Nancy Block, Camilla, Marie Cole. I can't remember who all is back there, but we had a really good crew. I used to take artists really around the world. I guess we've been all over the place, but this is actually in a pillbox. So part of World War II.
From the war,
Yeah, from the
yeah.
war. This is where gunners would be to keep the island safe, and we it kept us out of the rain that one day. Boy, that was cold. But
Yeah.
these intrepid people, they put their rain pants on and followed me. I guess they'd
Who would
follow.
go to Orkney to paint outdoors?
Well, me and about 15 of my friends. Oh, there
Yes,
she is.
yes, yeah,
I look
yeah.
just like myself. Holy
You
cow.
do. That's
I'm
a good
even doing
one. That's a
this.
good one of you. You're wearing the same clothes.
Holy cow. Well, that doesn't, it's my uniform. It's either a black turtleneck, a black t-shirt, or a black tank top. You know that. Printmakers. Oh, isn't that nice?
So this is the Shokan Reservoir by Kate McGloughlin, one of her oils, one of her beautiful, dynamic, expressive oils.
I
And this
just
is a
took
big
that
one,
down
as
to
I remember,
Gramercy
right?
Park. What's that?
This is a big one, as I remember.
It is. It's a 6 footer, and it just fit in. I had to buy a new car to put the painting in.
Put the painting in?
I got yeah, it's a 6 footer, and I just delivered it to Gramercy Park. My good friend Liz Lacey bought it for her office last week. But I bought this cargo car, this Prius V, so it would fit, and then I packed it all up, and it didn't, so I had to jockey it around. But yeah, it looks good up there, Stotts.
Yeah, yeah. So
There he is.
this is the beginning of some of my watercolors, which is uh, they're kind of grouped in places. I did a lot of I live in Rosendale, and I become a Rosendalian, and uh, so a lot of my paintings are of Rosendale, and they're a lot about design and about the fluidity of watercolor. I mean, I think it's like it was like a liberation for me when I wasn't anymore thinking just I'm making a picture of a place, but I'm making a design that it kind of is inspired by a place, and the watercolor is like what it does, the flow of it and so forth is what it's about for me.
What
And
I'd
that's
like the people go back for a second,
I
Stotts,
can't
please.
go back.
Oh, you can. Okay, well,
I
we'll
don't
just
know
go
how to
from
go
here.
back.
Okay, don't go back then. Always move forward, brother.
Yeah.
Like the viewers to really take note of is the way he simplifies things. This is a great example, actually. Artists are always looking for design. We're always looking for the best composition. And this happens, I happen to know exactly where this is, and yet this is a very abstract and very Zen piece that doesn't need a lot of description to know. I mean, everybody knows that lives around here that that's the Rosendale Trestle, no
Right.
doubt about it. Take a look at how many of his paintings, you guys, where his color just morphs into from a warm to a cool exchange within a shape. And it just is, that's what you write poetry about when you see a painting like this.
I think it's kind of poetry, but you know,
It is.
there's a truth to it too
Yep.
that that I arrive at this through trial and error. So some of these paintings I've done many, many times trying to get one that was relaxed and knowing, and you get a through that process of repeating a composition, you get gifts of insight as you go along to what can be left out, what can be in, where the rhythms lie, how you know whether the balance is. This is another one of Rosendale. This is a pretty recent one, and it's not much here, but
But
uh,
it's everything that needs to be there is there, Stats. That's I guess sort of what I was trying to get at before is that, you know, the art, the genius of Stotts, or the many, there's many little parts I could say about that, but it's what to leave out that is
and
unbelievable.
so true, Kate. What to leave out, what you're allowed to leave out, because
Yeah.
sometimes we're not allowed to leave things out, or we're not. And again, when you suddenly say, "Oh yeah, I don't, I can just leave that out. I don't have to do that. I don't want to paint all those windows. I can leave
Okay.
those."
I just want to interrupt to say, whoever's doing the tech, there are some people in the waiting room that are trying to get in. I just got a note from Eileen. So if you could, whoever's in charge of that could see them into the door. This is one of my
That must
favorite
be
paintings of his.
Miruna, right? Miruna is in
Oh,
charge of the tech. Yeah, this is the Rosendale bell tower, the minister's house. What do they call the minister's house?
parsonage.
Yeah, this is the parsonage on the right and the edge of the bell tower on the left. And it's just a simple shape at that. And it was done, you know, spontaneously and left alone. The leaving alone part is really important.
That's the one. When to stop is the other part of his genius.
You do
Look
that
how
too, right?
there's no doubt in anybody's mind that sees that this is a series of brick buildings. But look at the pure abstraction of this piece, you guys. Like, follow the purple around, and if you took your glasses off and just squinted, the three-dimensional world comes together, and just really a super limited palette, but all the warmth and all the coolness that you'd want, and that shadow in particular. Look at the shadow under what do you call those things? A portico, sort of. Look how it just makes this little abstract shape, and it lets you know that there's a wall over here, that you're in shadow, that there's another plane. And these are the things that I study his paintings all the time when he posts them, and I can't get over them.
No, thank you, Kate.
Yeah, it's
I
gorgeous.
would say of my experience that I got a lot out of the MFA program at Suny New Paltz, and Alex Martin was my advisor when I was there, and became a really good friend throughout his life, the rest of his life. And I'm still, I'm still uncovering and playing with ideas that he gave me during that period.
Give us
So
one. Give us one of the things that I mean, come on. It's time to lay it on us, man. Tell me one thing that he told you
he
that you
was
probably
very,
told us 100
he
times.
was very excited about edges. And
No, yeah.
if you look at the edge of the grass
Yeah.
going across, or the and soft and hard edges particularly, and there's a real almost musical relationship between soft and hard edges. If you get it, you know, soft edges gives you depth and it gives you places to get lost, project in. Hard edges stop you, like
Hmm.
like a like a question, not a question mark, exclamation mark or something. So the
Yep.
balance between soft and hard edges and the rhythm between empty and full is what one of the main things I got from him. And I didn't know when he was telling me what the hell he was talking about. He would show
Right.
me and point out things like that to me, and it took years and years. I'm very slow, actually, as a person getting these things, and it seems to be coming together in my brain these days
I
more.
see it in the late work and the work that you're posting in the last, I would say, 6 months. And you and I have talked about this. It seems like a culmination, Stats, of not
Yeah, I
just
feel it too. I feel it too,
all
Kate.
your design work, like everything you would have known to reach for as an artist, but also a sense of spirituality and calm.
Yeah.
And the other word is there's a resolve that it comes screaming out. Now, this seems like it could have been done a long time
This
ago,
was
but this
earlier. This is an earlier piece, but this is the Rosendale Cafe.
sure is.
There is some nice empty spaces here.
Hmm.
It's just a painting that I like, but it is a few years back, so you can get a sense of the. Oh, I didn't mean to put two of those in.
Yeah, but what a great thing to see from the early
Yeah.
work where you maybe felt like you needed to give more information, and now you're like, screw it. If they can't figure it out, it's on them. Like that
Oh,
confidence that
it's
comes.
like it's a liberation to have
Absolutely.
that attitude you just said.
Yep.
Yeah. To be allowed
Yep.
to not have to do other than what you feel is, boy, that's just right, just balanced, just perfect.
Mhm.
Doesn't need any more. I have people tell me all the time, particularly online, that's really nice, man, but you got to finish it. So I hear that a lot, but not everybody. And painters usually like these things.
Yeah,
So
you're a painter's painter for sure, just like a
painters
few
like,
others are. And
sometimes the public would like a little more.
yeah, that's okay. Let them wait.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people doing that, right?
Mhm.
Plenty of people doing that more
Every mark. Yeah, put it
every
more.
mark, everyone you get in, which to me is a weight now, what kind of a heavy weight.
Oh, wow, man. This one blows my mind.
So this is Main Street in Rosendale. I love the flow of the paint and
Mhm.
just gravity's a big part of this, of allowing it. You work at a little bit of an angle with your drawing board, and paint flows with the gravity, and it goes from opaque to transparent. I mean, opaque paint will fill in spots, and transparent paint will give way, so you can play with the flow of it. It's a lot of fun, and that's really what the medium is about. It's a transparent medium like there is no other. And it's a gestural medium. I mean, all the mediums, your work, Kate Noel's, is very gestural, but uh, its gesture is really big in watercolor, the making of marks. It was in the Japanese watercolors and
Mhm.
Chinese watercolors. And so it's great to make just a human mark, and this
Oh,
is the same spot that we looked at earlier, the
I would just hang on to that. Hang on a second. I want to show you something. A friend of ours, I have some of yours. This is a student of Staats's and mine and a dear friend. This is Elizabeth Broad's work. Can you see what I see here?
Elizabeth got it, right?
She nailed it. She's a brilliant
Nailed
artist.
it. Well,
Like,
Elizabeth was
I
she
mean,
was always terrific, but yeah, that's beautiful.
isn't that, I bought that years ago at the student show. But when I see this work, see, this is all I care about seeing. Like, I'm tired of the details. Maybe we're just so bombarded by digital, everything. Everybody's got a picture, everybody's showing you everything. It's all whipping by. So when I see this, it's like I could stand before this thing and weep, like just the color exchange and the I know you can't go backwards, so I won't ask you to, but that one piece that you just had where is it French, is it cobalt blue? What's that?
Probably ultramarine blue that gives you.
Ultramarine blue that when it goes down into that burnt sienna,
Yeah,
that's something else. But you're making pretty good use of this. Is this rose madder or alizarin crimson or something? Or what color you got out here?
I have no idea.
Yeah, okay.
Red, blue, and brown.
Yeah, I know. But remember when Daniel Smith started making all those great color, like
Oh,
travertine and all those
yeah,
colors
yeah.
back in the
Well,
90s when we were
his
painting?
paints were great. His
Yeah,
paints were
super.
terrific. But I
Yeah,
do like rose madder. I do like permanent rose, and then this looks a little redder than permanent rose. And there's
yeah, it
purple in
looks
there. So probably there's purple and brown, which are a
mhm.
great kind of combo, and
Yeah.
red, blue.
Yeah, but that little blue in the peak, just tells us what time of day it is, and those little where the
Yeah.
sun hits that the one other building there, just
Yeah.
great. And this, the other thing, and you taught me this too about intervals. We used to go and paint it. Oh shit, what's the name of that? Oh, the Xena Reservoir, and then
Gita
also
Reservoir, yeah.
like remember that place?
It's a
And there
great place.
just be for those of them that don't know that place, there's basically these plantations around reservoirs. So the pine trees are, they just look.
They were planted all together, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And so Stotts was the one who told me, like you gotta like put the mother and child here and then separate the father a little, like put that, have that a little this way, have it this a little cocked. And when you see this fence here where he's got this, could be a, I don't know, like a piano keyboard, and he takes his liberties here with this fencing, and it makes the painting alive, Stotts. It's really great. A lot of times when you have a fence in the beginning or in the foreground of a painting, you visually have to hop over the damn thing. And
Right. And
this
block you.
way you got a lot of ways in here, pal. You
Yeah,
just
I left some
just do it.
places you could enter.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah. At least we're having fun, Stotts. I don't know if
Yeah, we're
everybody.
having a good time. Hope you all are. This is
Look
another
at this.
downtown Rosendale, one of the houses.
Is
Great
this recent?
excuses to look at, strong shapes, and
Mhm.
this probably was worked on over a period of time because I usually don't get this dark so
Yeah,
strong, and
I
I
love it.
only do it when I'm in desperation. But I think it works in a way. The light and the
It
shadow,
does.
the blue coming out of the shadow. This kind of gradation from brown to blue is like my
Mm.
favorite in the world. I'm
Yeah,
always looking for
it's a hallmark in your work too. It's so absolutely recognizable as Stotts. And what I'm really enjoying is seeing some of your students, uh, are getting that too. Carol Davis was one who really got that too. You've seen this before here, and I just love it. Oh, here's that chord. Nice.
a little landscape.
Oh, I love it. This is small too, isn't it?
It's a small. I'm
Yeah.
getting smaller. You're getting
Yeah,
bigger.
good.
I'm getting smaller.
Yeah, I love it. Like Stotts was sharing this morning that he's got a morning routine, and I've seen his sketchbook, and one of the I have like a whole page of his sketchbook. I know I recognize the cliffs of Moher there and Galway, and I got a little either Albany or somebody. Wait, where the hell's the camera here? Okay, there.
Yeah, that's Albany. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Right
bet you,
around the
so
Robert.
Stotts would have this at his table and then just recreate it in watercolor over and over again. And those practice paintings that are, and then you just come out with this, in particular, this one little dry spot here where it's all gray and a lighter gray value. It just completely activates the foreground so that it makes me want to go right into that farm there.
Yep.
That's just a gentle beauty, this one.
Yeah.
Mm.
This is the backside of Mohonk over the hills. And this is
Oh.
actually a painting that I worked on for a long time too, that I couldn't realize. And that really dark tree, the two pair of dark trees and almost left center,
Hmm.
in a way made it for me. And that mark in the clouds, I think I put in last. And that
No,
dark tree, which is kind of crazy to put such a dark tree in the midground, but somehow as a composition, I just loved it.
I feel like it balances the whole right side, like the foreground to the middle where you have it in blues
Yeah,
here
it is a
is
question of
just about the
balance.
same weight to me as that little punch. That's the thing about painting and that there's so many ways to balance things. You don't have to go bing bing, you can go pow and that balance. But boy, what a set of balls you have putting a red shadow up in that cloud.
No, I
That
mean,
was
who would do
wild,
that?
man.
Right? And I don't think I did it intentionally. I think it was like one of those desperation things, or
Oh, I thought you hit the wrong puddle of
yeah,
wrong
maybe I
puddle
got
of pink.
the brush in the wrong puddle. But yeah, so this is
Wow.
High Falls. Remember High Falls?
Of course, I go there all the time.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, the pantry. Yeah.
yeah, and the church and the
So I know where this is. That's Second Avenue there. That's an antique shop on the left in the
that's
church.
right. I forget what it is now.
Yeah,
Can you?
I know just where it is. Look at that. That's beautiful. Stotts and I used to teach up at Mohonk. So that little That's called well, they're Shawangunks, obviously, but or Shamgom, I guess you say.
Probably not everybody knows what the Schwangums are, right? These are the mountains that run through Ulster County that Mohonk is a part of. And they're really kind of big hills, really, rather than mountains, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Famous for rock climbing, but really great for painters. And Mohonk, there's a gorgeous, retreat center, they call it now. It's an old hotel, but we used to do a thing called Artist Inspiration
Yeah,
Weekend. And Stotts and I were, rabble rousers.
did that
And
for years.
oh, I loved it. It was one thing we
Years,
could do
eh?
for our partners. So Eileen and Sarah, they just goofed around and went on the rowboats, and we ate steak every single night, and waddled to the granary,
Right, 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 right. Yeah,
and so they
they
never
wouldn't
paid
pay us.
us. But I'm
Yeah, they
sorry,
gave us weekends to
they
stay.
gave us weekends. I felt like a millionaire, Stotts. I don't know about you, but I kept
Well,
thinking,
it's a lot of money these days is getting
well,
up.
now it is. You notice they don't invite us up anymore.
No, they don't.
But
They got
anyway, that's a beauty.
they
You
got
say
to
so
grow
much.
older. This is the Huguenot Street in New Paltz, and one of the old little Huguenot houses. This is probably not the oldest. The stone houses are on the left, but I just got these shapes and
Uh,
triangles. It's all about triangles. A lot of things in my work. I have some kind of thing about triangles. I love triangles and the
oh, they're the most
rotation of them.
perfect. Aren't they the most perfect thing in nature or
Yeah,
something?
they're
I guess that's,
very, very structural and very strong structural
well,
pieces.
it's you and Nancy both. Nancy Campbell's another great artist that we are friends with, and just like Nancy or Nancy, just like you, make such good use out of man-made structures. I
Not your
mean,
thing so much, right?
what's
Kate?
that?
Not your thing so much.
I'm not that good at it. I guess,
Not into buildings.
I like to get as far away from everybody as
Yeah,
possible.
it's a different
Nothing
attitude.
man-made. And every now and then I'll paint a boat on Monhegan, but mostly I'm going to be out on the backside and be left the hell alone. And the same thing here. I really love to just go where and get lost in the landscape. And but it is fun to paint a house every now and then when you can just throw a searing white, on
I and there's
some
something to me about community that in a
uh
lot of it, and when I do just pure landscape, I have to find a way to do the same thing with that. So where there's community, where there's people residing, or that somehow is makes it more real to me, or more solid, or more emotionally attractive, I
Well,
guess.
there you go. I think that's the difference between us. You, as the shy guy, more of an introvert, this is a way for you to express your love for humanity. I'm all over people all the time. There's no doubt about that. So for me, my solace is when I get away from everybody. I mean, my people problem is the reason I'm not a better painter. Like if I could just get
You are
away.
so social.
I'm a little bit.
It's
I mean,
beyond belief.
I'm one of those weirdos that's really an introvert until I'm around people, and then I pop out of a cake, and then all hell breaks loose.
Isn't that
But
funny?
it's just it's the way it goes. So it's interesting that an introvert like yourself would be drawn to man-made construct where community is, and someone who's like a people person, a problem people person, has to go out and just get lost in. That's
Yeah,
something I never thought about for you and I. So thanks for.
we're gonna have to look into that, right?
I think we just did. What is this across from the school? Wait, where is this?
This is Owasning. This is up
Oh,
on
it is a wasp.
Alaska. I
I've
don't
been
know how
right at
many
the
of you have
bottom
been
of that.
to
Yeah.
Owasning, but it's this beautiful, beautiful Minnewaska State Park. It's just a gorgeous place, and it has this waterfalls in it, and it's like a 5 minute walk from the car from the parking lot to the waterfall. It's amazingly you don't have to go on an 8 mile hike or anything.
Uh, you,
So, and it's
you can't.
always attracted me, and I've painted it on and off over the years.
Oh,
But
it's a beauty.
it's got that kind of silent thing.
Oh, God.
It's, yeah, this is Suny New Paltz. This is the old main building, I think, where my studio used to be when I was in the graduate program there. No windows. There was windows in it, but I didn't put any in.
Hang on to that painting just for a second. Everybody, look to the left where he's got this trees. Somebody wants to know what size these paintings are. A lot of them are smaller than 8 by 10, aren't they? Little 5 by 7s and
This is a quarter sheet. This is probably,
oh, 11 by 15.
yeah, 11 by 15 inches, something like that.
Look at the left side where he's got this tree here. So it's simultaneous contrast, right? He's got the dark
Right.
value of the tree coming down, and then just when you want to lose back to the edges with your mentor, Alex Martin,
Yeah.
and then coming in with that light. You taught me that, man. You taught
Yeah,
me
and I think the saying is light against dark, dark against light.
light
That's
against
like the
exactly.
mantra of the
Yeah.
paint. And
Big
it
big
doesn't matter
against
if you're an abstract painter or a realist painter or any kind of painter. That is one of the key elements of contrast, and it makes music. It makes real music if
yeah,
you're
no
aware
doubt.
of it.
Light against dark. Oh, speaking of music. Wow.
So this is Boppy Lane. This is in New Paltz also. That's off of the 209 where the rail trail goes over.
Oh
And
yeah.
there's a little farm still with cows there.
Nothing like a Holstein. That'd break my heart right there.
Yeah,
That's what we had.
yeah.
Yeah.
You had Osie's.
Oh yeah, my
The
grandfather. I'm
maggots are
I'm
still out
I'm
on
on a
your.
dairy farm here. When
I didn't
Michael and
know
I
you
were
had
born,
cows.
yeah, my grandfather was a dairy farmer, and he retired when Michael and I were just about to start school, probably. And there's a picture I have of Mike, 3 years old, in diapers and a little Mets hat, right next to a Holstein. Her big head, bossy,
Wow.
coming right here. And yeah, we used to walk down in the barnyard with them. Those are the gentlest creatures on earth. But
Wow.
then he retired, and we grew vegetables most of my
Yeah.
life.
When I first moved to Ulster County, the number one major industry was dairy.
No
And
doubt
I'm not
about it.
sure there's any left at all now.
Sure, we have three in the town of Olive left, but
So there is some left.
there were 17 when I was a kid. 17 dairy farms.
Such a hard life being a farmer. That's what
But
is.
so that's why I said something about it, and Dick Strain said, "What, you want to work 365 days instead of
Yeah, I mean,
300?"
you're always on, and your kids don't want to do it. They want to
That's it.
do something else. And
Well, that's
people
what,
are offering you money for the property.
no doubt about it.
Thousands.
That's
Yeah.
why a lot of them are selling because they can't keep up with the taxes anymore.
Yeah,
But it was a
it's
great time here in the 50s and 60s and last couple hundred years anyway.
we
That's the
still
truth.
got corn, right?
Yeah,
In Ulster.
sure do. Whoa, here's
That's
Mohawk
Mohawk
Mountain.
also. Yeah. Sometimes when I get a good cloud, I'll try to, it's worth continuing with. So,
Talk about making grays, Dots. Some of us like to use I like to use a warm and or a cool of the primaries, but some people just like complementary colors. What's your groove here?
well, I try to make them a lot of different ways. And as you mentioned earlier, my favorite go-to mixture is burnt sienna and
Mm,
cobalt blue or ultramarine
mm,
blue. So those two they will give you like a gray in the sky up there, but it's a
yeah,
little bit of an opaque gray because both of those are a little bit opaque. Watercolors are very transparent, but there are more and less transparent ones. But when I want a really transparent one, I'll use alizarin crimson and phthalo green or another green, and to get you can do the same thing, but you get a cold gray rather
yeah.
than warm gray. And you can mix them any way. Any way you can. I'll try to do it. Purple and orange, or I'll do a lot of different ways. Any compliments.
Yeah, I like mixing up the warm and cools too, just to keep
Wonderful.
it interesting. Usually in the same painting too, just to keep it that's
Yeah,
what's so moving about this
yeah.
painting.
It's like as many different ways as you can to keep the eye
Engaged.
engaged. That's right. How do you engage somebody's eye in this world that we live in, where there's so many images, like you were saying earlier about AI and about uh, digital images and photography? I mean, how do you keep somebody's eye for a moment, even for a moment? It's so
Mm.
hard, right? And how many people see a painting, Kate?
Yeah, well, let me just tell you something. I just got back from Amsterdam, and I'm at Van Gogh. We did Rembrandt on Monday, Van Gogh on Tuesday. Wednesday, we went to the Rijksmuseum to see some Vermeers and this Fra Angelico I've been waiting to see since I was in ninth grade. And you know what the people do at museums now? They go up to it, they take a picture, they take a selfie with it, and they move on.
Yeah,
And I had never seen anything like it. I didn't know that that's what everybody that's all they were doing. And meanwhile, I'm like the last of the Mohicans. I'm still going like this and getting yelled at,
yeah.
by the
You're
guards.
drawn to it, right? Don't
Oh
touch
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Stotts, you're on 140-pound cold press
Yeah,
paper.
that's my favorite. Arches watercolor paper, 140-pound cold press, still made the same mill since the
Mhm.
1600s in France.
Oh,
I think it's the best paper in the world. There's a few others that I like as well, but they're just as expensive, so it doesn't make any sense.
yeah.
But it's a great, great paper. It's very, very, it's heavily sized. So watercolor paper, unlike printmaking paper, is heavily
Mm.
sized with glue so that the paint doesn't absorb into it. It stays on the top, and you get these sharp edges and intense colors. So
Yeah,
Arches is
no, it's
very
beautiful.
hard, kind of hard paper and just amazing, amazing paper, very durable.
Very durable. I've scrubbed a lot of this stuff,
Yeah,
and
you can scrub it, you can beat it, you can walk
yeah,
on it. And,
we've done it all.
yeah, we do it all. This is the Walloon Church in New Paltz in the Huguenot on Huguenot Street.
Yeah.
That's this is an older one, but this is Suny New Paltz also.
Are you in their collection, Stotts?
Yeah, they have I think they have a couple of my paintings.
I
Yeah,
need to have a few more, I think.
yeah, yeah. Everybody needs a few more of my
I
paintings.
think so.
Anybody that's listening out there, you. This is Kingston Point,
Hmm.
and it started with a lot more. This is like the was a fun process for me. This is a fairly small painting, but it started with a lighthouse in it, and finally, I just felt that the simplicity of those three women sitting there looking out with a kind of half boat with the gradation through it because I'm heavy. What watercolor gives you for free that is hard to get in oils and acrylics are these beautiful gradations, and it comes free with watercolors and the fluidness. So sometimes that's enough for me of a gradation that goes from the bottom left up to the if you follow the warmth going out to the lighthouse. It's just
I remember you used to stress that in the beginning of like really trying to let go of sort of blue sky, green trees, green,
yeah,
and
yeah.
flowing through something. And I remember when you used to have us do the hopper, it was you were really trying to get us to move through a palette, within one big large shape that became the pattern of that. And what I wanted to point out to people, look at the gesture he gets with just a few, like the attitude of the people. Stotts is always really good at. I happen to have another little painting of a friend of ours, Stotts. Oh, wait a minute, where are we? You know who
Oh
this is?
yes, Francis.
That's exactly right. Stotts painted this of our friend Francis Bosch many, many years ago. And there's nobody else on the planet that this could be but Francis. The way she
He had a posture. Yeah.
attacked this sort of thing. You got that in this one here too.
I hit her. I got her that time.
Yeah.
This is Kingston Lighthouse,
Look at the space you get in this thing, man. Wow.
and this is in Germantown, looking at what used to be cement.
Cemented. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was going to say, I think I know this view very
I love
well.
the name of the town, Cement, but they changed it to
Oh,
Peter's Landing or something like that.
it's a Smith's Landing.
Smith's
Isn't
Landing.
isn't
Yeah,
that cute? I think that's very American. It feels very like our town, that Smith's Land.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's the Hudson River. It's the beautiful, that majestic body of water. That's just so amazing, really.
Yeah.
Still
Look,
me to look at it.
in this one, especially of the Catskills. So he's looking from Dutchess County to the cheap side of
Oh,
the river,
yeah, the
the
cheap
Ulster.
side, our side.
And that look at that lost edge, you guys, between I guess what mountain would that be? Would that be Overlook or would that be high, for one of the Cotterskill high peaks? I don't know. Whatever mountain that is on the left. And look how he just brings it up into the clouds and the same, using the same palette, using the same value range, and yet it brings us right into the sky. It's like it's the way to connect. I love my favorite way to teach landscape painting was to just kind of bring people through the whole thing. And you're right, keep it interesting, but keep them engaged long enough, and then give them a couple of rest areas. And there's just a nice way through in the foreground there. And oh, my sister just said, "Hi, Kate, I'm here. Hi, Carl. Thanks for coming."
Yeah.
Uh,
The
actually, Colleen,
Lost
you
Edge
love
thing,
this. What's that?
the Lost Edge thing you're talking about is we
Oh,
call it passage too.
it's a
So
passage as well.
yeah,
And
and it ties the background to the foreground. So it tends to flatten things out a bit. It's not like the Thomas
I was
Cole landscape, trying to show infinite depth. It's really limiting
Mhm.
depth. It's just like a Cezanne thing of connecting the foreground and the background. So you're looking for opportunities to do that. I am. I'm always looking for it. And I love it.
Always.
I love it
Yeah.
when I find it's got to be natural. It's got to feel right.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than a forced lost edge. I mean, you have to do it to
Write
practice.
that down, Kate.
Yeah, write it down. It's a quote, the quote of the night. But here's the thing: it's you have to practice it, so you have to force it in a number of paintings. Just like so the tree in the right hand side, when you enliven that whole thing by those little, it's famous Stotts move of the dark value, the dots of maybe a birch tree, or just moving us up through that nice vertical there. That other people call it trees, painters
Well,
call
nice
it.
verticals.
Yeah, and it's super. But whoa,
This is about gradations.
I guess.
Yeah. This is uh this is something that Anna Wang forced me to paint.
Okay. She's terrific, by the
Oh,
way.
she is terrific. But
Yeah,
she
she's a
kept,
great
I
painter.
would do it. She wanted a painting and of the lighthouse and the swans, and I would do one, and she goes, "No, not good enough." I'd do another one.
Was
No,
she
wouldn't
pushing
work.
the Asian thing on you?
And
Because
well, I
this is,
really feel we did this together. This is a group painting, but great gradations, nice gradations, lost edges, just enough information in the lighthouse to say, well, if you knew it was, Kingston Lighthouse, yeah, that's the lighthouse.
oh, that's definitely Kingston Lighthouse, no doubt
And
about it.
flat, relatively flat. So I owe Anna for that one.
Oh man.
This is President's Place in Kingston. It's a great old neighborhood that overlooks the Rondout and has these 1890 homes in it, 1890, 1900. Beautiful old homes. And I don't know how many of you know the Rondout, but there's like 37 church steeples there and
Yeah.
everywhere you look. And it's just a very interesting, visually interesting place to look at. This always intrigued me.
Always. It used to bring us down there when we had the summer workshop with you, the 5 day, and we go down to
Yeah,
the Rondout.
right?
You really can see all the steeples from one place to the other, but that is where our ancestors first stepped foot, right down on the Rondout. My Kit Davis.
You're McLaughlin's, or were
No, not the McLaughlins, the Davises.
the Davises?
Kit Davis, he was a Dutchman from England. He came up with Peter Stuyvesant and Tom Chambers, and he was actually the first white man to put his foot on down by where Mary Pease is. And
Really?
yep,
That's a good story.
oh, isn't that good? Yeah,
Yeah.
and he ended up hanging with the Delaware that were here. They
The Indians, the
well,
natives.
yeah, the Native Americans. I'm glad you said it, not me, Stotts. I'm always blowing that one, but
I know.
The Nappy. So
I'm
he
in
has two
trouble.
Davis lines. There's the ones that married. He married. He had a family with a Lenni Lenape woman, and he had a family with Katrina, whoever, one of my ancestors. So we got the big Dutch things, and all the other Davises have this beautiful brown skin. But yeah, but you make great use of big patterns. Look at the searing. That white. It's just like
Yeah.
we all know this place, just
Love to
because.
make a good white. I love to make
Oh,
a white.
gorgeous. Oh yeah, I know this place. Now this is the back. This is right where I'm talking.
Around out. This is the right by the water, and
Very
used this
peas.
is the
Yeah.
Freeman Building, and yeah. I think Doug, are you there to hurry us along, or
Oh, what time
I,
is it?
I wouldn't dare try to hurry you along. Well, I would say this, if possible, go for maybe another 8 or 10 minutes and then allow for the audience to ask
okay,
questions,
no
say things.
problem.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Oh boy, that's a great view. Is that from Company Hill?
That's from President's
Really?
Place, State. You have to
Oh,
go and look at this view from there
oh,
if
I
you haven't.
will.
It's fabulous. It's one of the best views of the Rondo that
Really?
exists.
Oops.
This is Main Street, Kingston.
Mhm.
The rhythms of whites of buildings and color and the use of watercolor. This is Clinton Avenue. This is what you see when you pull out of Hannaford's and take a left. This beautiful little house there, and it's really quite attractive. But you don't ever see it because it's pulling out of Hannaford's with your groceries, and you're going,
I love this one. This was in your show at the Old
"That's
Dutch, or is it still up, by the
great."
way?
It's still up, coming down on Thursday.
Oh man, you if you get a chance to go to Kingston, New York, Nancy and Stotts have an incredible. It's such a it's a delight to see this work in this place at the Old Dutch Church. Look at him with his turquoise, and then right into yellow ochre, and then up to his famous darker purple.
Ultramarine, you know, that turquoise to ultramarine is what really makes it, don't you think?
No
It's really
kidding. No,
a
I love this one.
little bit
You might
orange.
have to save that one for me, pal.
Okay, no problem, Kate.
I know. I'm on an art buy-in tour. Don't you tell Sarah though. She doesn't know anything. I
She
sneak
does.
them in the
I
back. I
won't
just bought
mention.
Peter Clapper. She doesn't know about that yet.
I won't say a word.
She doesn't have to know
It's
everything.
just the Work Street Bridge, another Kingston.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is what ultramarine does on paper. If you put it on really wet and juicy and leave it alone, don't mess with it.
Stotts, is that hot press or cold
It's
press?
hot press paper,
I
Kate.
knew it.
Very astute of you. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm superior. Ask my sister. Look at what that blue does. It's what's that called when it grade? No, it's the word when it starts when the watercolor breaks
I
down,
almost had it and it left my brain.
and it'll come back to us.
Granulation.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
That's what
dynamite stuff.
watercolor can do. It's really juicy. And it's
Yeah.
like half abstract, half
Mhm.
a place, which is what I like.
Yeah,
This
me too.
East
Oh,
River.
there she is.
Yeah.
Yet she persists.
Yes, I think, well, I'm not gonna say a word.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Wow. Stotts, where is this? On the Hudson? Or is
This
this
is
down in
this
Newport?
is this is the Hudson, but it's a little bit of imaginative one.
I like it.
I saw something like this and then painted it.
How
It's really
often do you do that? Because I know you as a
more
stamp
often
artist.
nowadays than ever,
I love it. I love
where
it.
I don't need much anymore,
Yeah.
So this is Lake George. This
Yeah,
was
I know who bought that painting. Wendy Hollander bought that painting from you at your show. I'm so pissed. She got there first. I thought it was your show can, so now I know.
yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
River,
I think you just misnamed it.
maybe, maybe. This is Albany looking up at the Capitol. This is also Albany. This is Albany
Yes.
from Rensselaer, looking up from under the bridge towards the state.
Stotts, when you do these, like that last one and this one, it's like Edwin Dickinson, that sort of Cape Cod light, that blonde. Yeah, I don't know. There's two schools up in Cape Cod, and then also the Philadelphia people, the blonde painting or whatever. And I
But it is an exaggerated light. You're right.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love
I
it.
love
That's
it
what I
too.
love
That's why I
about
do it. And it is exaggerated, I would say. Although I have seen that, and it's just don't see it that often, but I like it, so I make it a lot.
it. Yeah. Wow. That's a jumpy one.
That's a jumpy one. That's Poughkeepsie from the walking bridge,
Oh,
the Hudson River going
for
into the.
sure.
It's
Yeah,
just a few still lives before we ended here.
man. That's what inspired the poetry. Look at that. Oh my God.
The thing about still lives is I almost never do them except when I was in classes. I did them almost always as demonstrations, and
Mhm.
I almost never do them at home. Although I did
Where
conversely, I did do this one at home, but most of
you
them
did
are,
this one at home?
yeah.
I gotta
Yeah,
love that
actually,
for you.
nowadays I'm only at home and
Yeah.
I'm still doing them, right? So
Wow. Look at that one. Somebody got that before I did. I forget who you said bought that, but look at that red spill down into the
I
teapot.
like that dot.
Me too. Me too. Oh, quintessential.
So it gives you, these things give you opportunity of just playing. It's really just play. Just play with color and the wetness and the gesture. And that's Cooper. No, that's Wilson Park,
Wilson. Yeah. Wow.
one of the classes out there. And that's the Artists
I was
Association.
gonna say that's looks like Wham. Yeah.
Swam with it had the red door.
Oh yeah, when Holly Gersh came, she put
Yeah.
the red door up. Wait, where's that now,
This is
Stotts?
Stone Ridge. This is that place right along 209.
Oh yeah.
Stone Ridge. And I added the person. There wasn't any person there. I just made it
You
up.
know, the thing about adding that person like that, you really set up the scale a little bit easier because it's hard when you have a big tree like this in the Oh, here I'm
Yeah.
using my mouse here, but having that tree in the foreground like that, and then a house, you can almost experience the space, but putting that person in the show,
Needed
just
something
that's
else. I agree with
yeah.
you. Yeah, it needed something else.
Nope.
There we go.
All right, man. So Stotts, you started t touching on well, let me get you out of this keynote before you get it. I know that we want to leave time for question and answers, but we didn't get a chance to talk about teaching and what it means. I know what has become, I used to teach so I could afford to paint. Now I paint so I can afford to teach, and you are one of the reasons I became the teacher that I am. I'm a teacher with heart for sure. And what has teaching done to inform your work, or I don't know, just talk about teaching just for a minute or two
I
before
mean,
we open it up.
teaching is like the greatest therapy I've
Yeah.
ever, and it was like my total socialization in many ways too. So, but it really took me from like a uncomfortable introverted person to a much more comfortable person. And I feel after teaching for 35 years, I feel I can deal, and I can actually deal with anybody
Yep. Oh,
comfortably,
I've seen
no
you.
matter what. Yeah, no matter what. And so that was such a gift. Teaching was such a gift and such a pleasure. And I actually learned to paint through teaching because a lot of the things I'm doing in painting, I'm doing because I tried to teach it and I demonstrated it in teaching. And we do these different exercises to use to learn values, to learn, we do teach these value scales and warm and cool. And so I learned all of that, really learned it through teaching and through watching what students did and watching what happened, and until it became so second nature and so comfortable that so it made my life something much richer, incredibly much richer than it would have been without it.
Yeah, we were lucky to have the school a place to do that kind of service to profession and also to
Absolutely. It's a
humanity.
gift.
Like just to, I mean, I wouldn't have ever looked for a job anywhere. I mean, I don't even think I've ever applied for a job before, so I wouldn't know how to go about that. But like, thank God for the school, or we would have been screwed. I mean, I don't even know where else I would have ever gone.
Well, you have lots of talent. You were director of the youth commission when first met you, weren't you?
Well, but that was easy. You just play pool with kids. I was like, come on. I got the job. This is how I know I got that job at the youth center because I walked in and I knew one of the kids because I was teaching of all things chemistry and physics at Ontario Central High School. I don't remember even taking that at Ontario Central High School. And anyway, one of the kids that I probably bummed a cigarette from in high school, he came in and I asked him if he wanted to play pool, and the director thought that was the coolest thing. Eric Glass guy gave me that job. And anyway, I was glad to
Yes,
get
sir.
that job, and I was glad to meet you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, glad to meet you too, kid. Yeah. So,
And so, anybody have any questions for the great one, Mr. Staats Fasoldt? I should ask the Doug. How do you usually do this, dear? Do you want to do it yourself or?
They can certainly speak live, in other words, turn on their audio. While we're waiting for that, I was just going to say I first came to Woodstock as a baby in 1944, and
well,
the reason was my parents, they were both painters, were students at the Art Students League in the
Oh,
city and up here. That's what brought them to Woodstock. And Artist Talk on Art is helping the league celebrate its 150th anniversary. We're doing a panel with them. It's
oh,
coming
great.
up. You'll see it. Um, and I had never realized that they went as late as they went. They went until 1979. Is that correct?
From 48, yeah, 48 to well, it was actually 47 to 79. Yep. And they would have stayed longer, but the city of Kingston wouldn't sell them the buildings, and
Uh,
they wanted to build dormitories, because people wanted to stay, and
right,
so
right.
that's why they left and went down to Vitlatril, right? Karen O'Neill,
yeah,
where
I was down there. I taught down there too.
Yep.
They were in a interesting position of owning the buildings, but not the property.
Isn't
Mm.
that nuts? Yep.
Isn't that crazy?
So
Sounds
Doug,
very, very English, doesn't it?
Yeah, is that English? I don't know. I
Yeah,
thought it was crazy.
yeah.
So that
um,
was. it was very uncomfortable. Bob Angeloch managed to talk Kingston into selling the whole thing.
I mean, God, what a fluke. We were
Yeah,
all up on Monhegan when it was
everything
open,
happened along the way to the point the school is at now.
which
Uh,
is unbelievable. And we're actually going to do a show on the league called Open Air for our historic shows to celebrate their 150 years. And we do that at the Woodstock School of Art in September. So we're looking forward to that
Great,
collaboration as
great.
well. Dr.
yeah,
Bruce
we
will
love the league. The league is a fabulous organization, and so many people came to Woodstock to go to the summer school at the league. And Bob Angeloch came to Woodstock. Was in the summer
What they
school.
want to talk about.
All right, go ahead, Elizabeth. You want to share?
Oh, yes, please, please. This has just been wonderful. Thank you so much. I haven't been up there in a long time. Stotts, your work is phenomenal.
Oh, well, thank you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank
Why
you.
I'm involved? Well, I'm an Asian art historian and a poet. I was up there years ago, but the reason I've been back in contact is because I have one of Angeloch's paintings sitting right here in my bedroom.
Uh,
Oh, great.
And so last year, when we were painting, I live on Park Avenue in Carnegie Hill, and I finally said, where I've always loved this painting. Okay. It was always in the vestibule. And then I decided, and we were painting, I love it. And I said, wait, I've got to turn it around. So I turned it over and I looked at it. I've always loved it. And then I found Doug Angeloch written on the back, 1957. And then one of his other numbers or something. And then I was sitting, everybody in my family was away in New England for the summer. I was the only one here. And so I started Googling and I thought, and the frame said this framer from Woodstock, right?
yeah.
So I Googled it.
Vasco Pini. I knew it. Karen
Yeah,
Saholka's father. Yeah.
exactly. So I Googled it and I said, oh my goodness, wait a minute. And then I pulled up the Woodstock School of Art where I had been years ago. So then I left a message for Nina Doyle that night. I was watching Wimbledon. This is last year, right? And so the next day she calls me up and she says, Elizabeth, I think this might be one of his pieces. And I said, really, really? So in the meantime, I'd Googled some of his other works and stuff and stuff. And then we're pretty, we know it is one of his. So,
Why
so
don't
in the
you show
mean,
us the painting?
yes, yes. And it's really stunningly beautiful. And it's over there in the other part of the room.
Oh,
So I
forget
can't
it.
really see. But there were some others, but it's so stunning. I've loved it for decades, I'll tell you. And so I know, and my aunt taught at the Arts League and studied with Lawrence Elliott and here, and many people in New York. And I was at Cameron Shea's the other day, Graham Shea. They just released a book, which I'll get you extra copies. I've got to go get them on Madison Avenue of the whole history of all the major teachers at the Arts League for the last 150 years. So I'm picking that up. In the meantime, what Nina had mentioned to me months ago was, would I be willing to lend this for this big show? And of course I would.
Oh, great.
So I'd
Be
be
in touch
very
with her.
happy.
Yeah.
I'm in touch and I'd be very happy to lend this piece. And I guess I could do one thing. Could you wait one moment?
Sure.
Let
Well,
me
and we
go.
might just come back to
Well,
you. How's
we'll
that? Would
come
that be
back to
okay?
you. Let's take
Yeah,
some more.
let me go grab the painting.
That
Okay,
would be
sorry.
super.
Sorry.
That's okay. Who else has a question for Stotts or wants to let him?
I have a question.
Another
Actually,
great watercolorist named
Barbara, how
name
you
of
doing?
Barbara O'Hare.
hi, Kate and Stotts.
Hi,
I
sweetheart.
just wanted to say I took my first watercolor class with Stotts in 1992. So that was 1 year after you, Kate.
Yeah, but I was in that class. I was his monitor that year, and I remember you.
Oh my goodness.
You were living over in Allen Bridge at the time, I think, weren't
Oh
you?
yeah.
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 No,
I
I
know.
remember. And we went down to the Strand, some of those places. I remember that like it was yesterday. What was that,
Oh
30
my.
something years ago? Yep.
Yeah. Well, I have loved doing watercolors ever since. And now that I'm not working as hard as I used to in real estate, I'm able to get back to more painting.
Good.
And I starts, I think about every class I've ever taken with you.
Thanks,
And
Barbara.
you taught me so much.
You're always enjoyable company and quite a character. Always expected would be there. I always
Oh,
loved about you.
well, this was a fabulous presentation.
Good, good.
Glad you enjoyed it, Barbara.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I have a question.
Hi, Lynn Margolith. How are you, darling? Another great painter from the
Famous
Hudson
Lynn
Valley.
Margolith.
Hi, you guys.
How are you?
Good. This has been wonderful. I took screenshots of almost all the painting stats because I want to look at them again. Just so my question to you is, when the light is so sort of, I don't know, subtle and looks like you've gone out at dawn or sunset, is that, do you go out at unusual times of day, or is the light what
Yeah,
comes to you?
it's inner. It's an inner thing.
Okay.
Because I get this little I work a lot from thumbnail sketches. When I get a thumbnail sketch that I like, that is a good design, I'll take it and play with it. And a lot of times, sometimes the light is dictated, like a sunny day or something like that. But a lot of times I'll generate it as it goes, not even intentionally. It's just, you see, oh, it's developing on its own. So it's a
Will you
beautiful, it's
do
a process of developing it.
would you do a couple of small paintings from one thumbnail sketch, for example?
Yeah, many sometimes.
Okay.
Many, many.
That's what I
Well,
love about it. His practice is really a practice.
yeah.
Where like I'm not kidding you, when he sits there at his desk, I've been at many, many board meetings with Stotts, and we call them board meetings for a reason. And especially the Zoom ones, when he is completely sketching or working
Do a
from
lot
sketch
of
book, and he's
paintings
just
and board meetings.
like it's great.
Actually, a great time to paint.
I know it is such a meditation.
Well,
Oh,
I
editor,
have a question. First of all,
that
thank you.
Go ahead.
The paintings are so wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
But do you do any sketching when you start the watercolor, or is it just straight
No
to the
drawing
watercolor?
in the watercolor usually. I would say 99% of the time I don't draw on watercolor paper with pencil. I paint just directly. But like everything else, sometimes I do. So
Okay, but for the most part, I was just sort of curious because everybody has their different method. I see different people who do light lines, sketch it in, and then kind of by that time the graphite
I'm
kind of
working outdoors,
disappears.
I usually draw.
Hmm.
But indoors, I try to get the sketch to the point where I can paint it directly because it's more open. I find it tightens me up when I have a drawing.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm looking to just to be expressive and relaxed. I'm looking for relaxed, not even expressive. I'm looking for relaxed, unself-conscious. That's what I'm.
All Stotts.
Well, they certainly come off that way. They're so
I mean,
beautifully done. Yeah.
I have my moments, not all the time either. I'm looking for those moments. The whole process leads you to that moment when you're unself-conscious and relaxed, and something happens, and you go, "Holy, holy mackerel!" That's beautiful.
Do you ever do anything with the rejects? Do
Well,
you
there's
have?
never a reject until they're gone. So sometimes I do. I scrub them off. I repaint them. Yeah, if I see anything of value in something that wasn't like the ultimate, I will continue to work with it. I'm
Mhm.
always looking for ways to get in and get out of a painting. What are we looking at, Kate?
You remember you gave me this when I retired from being the president. It's a view from his studio, out of studio two
Uh,
to my studio with all the still life stuff. This is a
yeah.
Kate and Stotts moment right here.
One of
I
the
love
times you retired from the presidency.
it. Yeah.
You're like the Pope in the background.
I'm
You
like the
never
Pope.
really retire. Yeah.
No way. I still pull
The
on his
College of
strings.
Cardinals.
They just don't know it. They
Yeah.
just don't know it. Hey, I'm going to show them something else. Look at this. This is who Stotts was when I met him with his Batman. I told you he was a dreamboat. Still is.
A
Who's
dreamboat
got another question for him?
lately crazy.
Susan Gilbert is a friend of mine who is a painter from Monhegan, who is an excellent oil painter and a brilliant watercolorist. Susan, do you have any questions for Stotts? Or any, because you're quite, I'd say you tend toward realism, like my friend Ms. Wheatenbaum down there.
Arlene, Arlene.
Yeah, our Marlene, one of the finest
Yeah.
pastel artists in the world.
Well, thank you, Kate.
Mhm.
Am I interrupting anyone who is
No,
speaking?
go right ahead, Susan. Then we'll get to Linda Champagnier in a minute.
I've just found this to be so interesting, and I have so much respect for both of your work, and know Kate well, but Stott, so nice to meet you, and I've always loved your work, and
Yes, Susan.
And then those still lives at the end, wow, you know?
Nuts, right? I was thinking of your still lifes that you were showing me of the roses, and you have them in your bedroom in Monhegan, and you said you're going to take that out and do it again. I dare you to do one like he just did.
Well, I think I could loosen up a little bit, don't you, Kate?
I think everybody's going to go home and loosen up. It's like it's those paintings look like you just got out of an Epsom salt bath or something, you know, like he's the Zen dude.
So
Linda,
if I had a question just really quickly. How do you keep your focus on the loose, you know, the like there are times when you want to be really tight, but I want to move to the loose side, so.
Well, I think it is process, being involved in repetitive attempts. It takes me time. I always start relatively tight, and through doing them and getting to know them, getting to know the shapes, looking for the shapes that I can do actually. I'm looking for what I can actually achieve and do. So it takes time for me to find those often. I don't often find them right away, and it takes work. And then you do get loose. And if you can do that, if you have the interest in continuing to play with one theme for a while,
yeah,
magic things happen. For me, they do. Magic things happen, and all of that stuff comes out of that. It doesn't come from smarts, or it's just through work and trying it and playing, and yeah. So that's always my recommendation to everybody is do a bunch of them and keep working with it. If there's a composition you like and it intrigues you, to see how far you can push it. Continue pushing it.
Thank you.
And try one big shape. He used to teach us, try one big shape as the pattern, you know, in a light value, and move the color through it like he did. So take a burnt sienna to go down to ultramarine, but have it be about the same value, but the whole pattern, and then wait a minute or two if you can, and then put in your next value. And that repetition, and like I said, he'd make it look so easy. We thought we were all going to go knock it out of the park like friggin' Willie Mays. Wow, here we go, and everybody would just fall apart and like a big wet puddle mess, and just crazy. Linda Champagnier, you were going to ask a question.
Well, that
looks like Barbara has something to say.
The
Go ahead, Linda.
Big wet puddle mess is really apropos to what I was going to ask. I struggle with washes. I love every time Stotts, I look at your work, I'm like, oh yes, that's what I want it to be. So, you know, I wet the paper, then it seems like it always is too wet or too dry. And I don't know, do you let it sit for a minute when
the paintings often begin dryly for a pattern, and I'll put a pattern underneath, and then I wet both sides of the paper.
Oh.
I wait until the paper just starts to lose that really, really shininess. I'm also working at an angle, a little bit of an angle, so all the excess water is moving downhill, and I can remove the excess. Sometimes I'll turn them around a couple times to get rid of excess water, but you're looking for that just semi-gloss look when it's still wet. And then you get these beautiful diffusions, and you got to have enough pigment in the paint when you're working wet and wet. But that's the key. Controlling water, the amount of water, and having a little bit of an angle to your page so the excess is always going where you know it's going, which is downhill to the bottom. So that's technical stuff. That's real technical.
But that's what I need. Thank you.
Yeah, that works really well. Try it.
Yeah.
So
that looks like a painting from Mohonk.
It is. It's one
Oh
of
yeah, I
Stott's.
see it.
Go back
Moon.
a little. There you are. Yep.
Yeah. Remember that one, Stotts?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
And here's a funny part of this painting.
What's on the
Look
back?
what.
Oh,
Yeah, well, listen, I get in a lot of trouble for that. A lot of
yeah.
my paintings, a piece of Arches watercolor paper has two sides to it. And if the first side isn't great, I'm going to use the other side. So
Of course. Why waste it?
I
But
can't help it. I
I
cannot help
love this painting.
it. So good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks.
Doug Shear, I see that you're back in, and I want to make sure, or pause, Maria,
Yeah.
how are we doing on time? I don't have a clock up in my house. I don't even know what to, how are we doing
Yeah,
on?
I was wondering if the woman that was about to show us the painting, is she gonna show us or no?
Elizabeth, from New York, I think you are. Are you going to show us that picture of Bob Angeloch's? I don't know who. Oh, here she is. Were you able
Yes,
to do a photo?
wait, I have to take it off my wall. I'll be right back. Hold on.
No,
Hold on.
No,
And
no.
then
no,
Scott,
no.
You actually have
No,
to
we don't
go.
have time. Elizabeth.
getting in
Yeah,
the
because we're basically finished at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well,
th
thank you all.
thank you so much for the panel. I will leave you like here the information on the chat of Artists Token Art website, so you can also see the upcoming events. They are every Monday.
here.
Yes.
Aha.
Okay, can you step? Oh, yeah, that's Bob Angeloch in the 50s. I bet you that number that you have in the back has a zero. And
1957.
I was going to say,
1957.
I would have bet it. Yep. He was looking
Okay,
at,
sorry.
he was teaching then, and he married a woman who would teach through the year. He worked at the Art Students League as the
Yeah,
janitor before he taught.
yeah, I
And
read
then
all that.
Nancy would have them bring the money in, and he would just paint all winter. And that was his 50s and before he had kids. They had just gotten back from Italy in that period, right? Stotts, do you remember that?
What was the film he made for the Art Students League where he was
He was Dubois. No, wait.
he did a film for the Art Students League where
Yeah,
he's a young artist.
riding his bike.
Yeah, it's fabulous. If you guys haven't seen it, uh, we should get them a copy. They would,
We'll make sure they have it, and I know that the league has it actually. I just don't know if Doug and those guys have it, but
Doug, have you
it's
seen that?
wonderful. Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that.
We got to get
Well,
you that.
it's
Okay.
Bob Angeloch starring as a young student on the GI Bill going to the Art Students League, and his name is David
Doris
Dubois.
Lee is in it.
Ah, got it.
Who is it?
Doris Lee is in it.
Oh yeah, Doris, Arnold
really?
Blanche,
Arnold
the whole
Blanche is
thing.
in it.
Yep.
Uh,
It's great, and he's riding his bike, and he's got his dog on his bike. His dog Sam would drive along with him, and he'd ride his bike, and the dog would trot with him. And when Bob Angeloch first went up to the Art Students League, he stayed in a tent. That's where he lived, in Miss Wardwell's property. So I guess we shouldn't keep talking.
Maria, if you would
Sorry, I never met him.
Yeah.
mention
I
next
live
week.
with
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next Monday, we have the panel with painters Richard Neal and Robert Henry talking about their work and art on Cape Cod. It will be next Monday at 7 p.m.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both
Can I
very
make a
much.
recommendation? You get Karen O'Neill and Peter Clapper as a duo, as a husband and wife team. They've been painting together for years, and Karen works at the league, and they'd be a great duo for you guys to consider.
Email us about that if you would.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you do that,
Yeah.
Stotts?
Yep.
Okay, bye. Thanks everybody
Thank
for
you so
taking
much.
time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.